Hello everyone, lovely opinionated vegan evolution here, and I'm going to continue talking about self-abandonment. The last video I left off saying that when we try consciously or subconsciously to self-abandon the qualities of ourself that inherently bring us joy, to find love, or even just to find work or friendship, that doesn't work. And so for me, my particular things that I love doing, that I loved to do when I was a young child, were to draw and to paint and to dance and to sing and to listen to music while dancing and singing, and to try to understand myself on a spiritual, emotional level deeper. So like I mentioned in the other video, I was raised by a dad who was taught that those qualities that he had, the artistic qualities of his nature, was not valued and it was not considered valuable. And even though he had enormous talent, he could draw anything hyper realistic. He also could make extremely beautiful abstract artworks. He could play the piano. He could play Beethoven by ear. He was a very talented person. He had a genius mind. But his level of emotional intelligence was not developed. And even though he was a very sensitive person, he cared deeply about human rights and equality, he did not have a well-developed emotional intelligence when it came to social or interpersonal relationships. He was very selfish, and he cared really only about his own needs, which were to read a book every day, murder mysteries he loved, and just to kind of be lazy, sit around and not really work much. And even though he had so much enormous talent, he also had an enormous insecurity and a lot of self-loathing, which was taught by his dad, who unfortunately did not love my father the way he deserved. So he battled with depression, even though it wasn't labeled that, and we just thought dad is kind of selfish and lazy. He sits around reading books. He doesn't help my mom. And even though he made many paintings and he drew constantly, filling up notebook after notebook after notebook, there goes my music, of funny little comics, sketches. He's even made a few books. He had made a few books. He has gone back into his pure energy form, no longer with us. So when my father passed away 2.5 years ago, it hit me extremely powerfully that here was this man who I had always admired. I had always believed that his artistic abilities were extremely, he just had so much ability. He also had this belief that compromising with his artwork, for example, being paid to do art that wasn't maybe exactly what he wanted, was somehow losing integrity as an artist. And so he clung to this belief that he would not paint or draw something for someone else, to someone else's spec, because then he would not be being true to himself. But what that showed me was an example that don't use your inborn talent to earn a living. And And that never quite sat correctly with me, although that's the path that I followed. So like I was saying previously, when I was in high school thinking about what am I going to do with my life, what career path am I going to aim for, what am I going to try to learn, when I thought to myself, I'm an artist, I like to draw, I like to paint, I like to dance, I like to take photos, I like to write poetry and stories, mostly like journaling myself, personal stuff. And I actually thought to myself, I am such a loser. I am such a loser that all I like is art. And it kind of breaks my heart to know that that's what I thought of myself. But I thought that being an artist made me a loser because it's so hard to make it as a living as an artist, and you have to be so super good at it, and it's so competitive, and basically it's impossible. These are the things that I said to myself, and nobody likes to buy paintings anymore. Nobody cares about that stuff. I also loved and love pottery. And who wants pottery? You know, you can go to the store and buy a mug for 50 cents. You know, who cares? And all of these false beliefs, you know, the funny thing is that when I look back or when I think about it, I always knew that art and writing and dancing were super valuable things in this world. But somehow I took myself out of that equation. Like, it's perfectly acceptable for anyone else to go after being an artist or a dancer or whatever. But for some reason, when it came to me, that didn't apply. Art was not a valid thing. And some reason was because I was taught that. So I'm already getting close to 10 minutes. And what I want to say is one of the things that my mom used to say to me, which I know she was trying to save me from making the mistakes she made, she was trying to advise me and guide me well. So she used to say, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't fall for that artist who has all this potential, but he's going to basically end up, you know, not going anywhere. Don't fall for the artist type. And the other side of that message that I subconsciously received, which she definitely had no intention of giving me, was because I was the artist type, because I am the artist type, the message of don't fall for the artist type subconsciously translated into don't be the artist type. Because if you shouldn't fall for this person, they're going to disappoint you, you don't want to be that way, then you also don't want to be that person, because then no one's going to fall for you. You're going to be a loser. So I had a lot of things coming at me, my own insecurities, which formed from my early childhood experiences, and then my parents. My mom always was very well-intentioned. She wanted me to be practical. She wanted me to get a good job in an office where I had decent benefits. I would have paid holidays. I would get regular hours, 9 to 5 type work. I would have my health insurance covered, which was in her mind extremely important. And she has worked in the insurance industry for 30 years or so. So that's kind of her point of view. And a lot of people around where I'm from and just around in the world believe that they need to turn their back or self-abandon the things about them that are not so safe or so practical. And for each person, the list of your particular things that you love to do will be different than mine. But so I spent many, many years working for corporate jobs in offices, doing work that meant nothing to me, and in companies whose endeavors meant nothing to me. And as a practicing Buddhist, I have now learned about right livelihood. That's one of the Eightfold Paths, which is to make your living doing something that doesn't harm anyone. But for me, it's also to make my living doing something that is genuine to me as a person. So I'm getting close to the 11-minute mark, and I'm going to stop this here, and I'm going to continue talking about why people self-abandon from my perspective and why it doesn't work. So if you want to continue this with me, please join me. Please click subscribe, and I will be back. Thank you.